Good afternoon, Nigel. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you for asking. Let's start with an update on Joe Williams, if possible. Any news on how he is after he was taken off on Wednesday?
Yeah, it's one of those weeks, isn't it? Yeah, he's not going to be available for the weekend. He's got a little bit of damage that needs to be assessed at a little bit more. So yeah, it's a shame for him and shame for us, because I think his patience has been, I think, tested quite severely in terms of getting back from injuries, and he was unlucky the other night. It's not the same injury, so it's not a reoccurrence. It's a different one, other leg, and he just landed awkwardly and got a jolt, which has caused some damage. So we'll just have to review that over the next few days and see what the outcome of that is. He'll go and have a consultation with somebody else along with Dave, and we'll try and give you a bit more information the other part of next week, or maybe at the weekend. We're at the weekend now, aren't we? But maybe on Sunday I can give you a bit more. But at the moment I can't give you any more detail than that, really.
And how's the rest of the squad looking for Sunday?
Yeah, really. We didn't pick anything else up, and I mean the game lasted 101 minutes, so the technology tells us. So it's a fair old stint, and quite a tough game for us, or a very tough game in different ways. Physically, yeah, the length of it, but I think the concentration levels were good. And like I said the other night, we had some good fortune as well, but I think we earned that with our display and resilience, and I'm really pleased for the players and the fans in particular, because it's been we've had a bit of a rough ride at home over quite a sustained period. So to win a game against a side who are, as I pointed out the other, or my opinion is at least, they're quite an accomplished side. So yeah, it was a good result for us. But now we have to look forward. It's about time we started winning away from home again, or getting positive results, because we've scored plenty of goals away from home, but have been unable to secure results. So yeah, we need to get back to doing that as well.
Has anything changed since the defeat at Coventry? I remember just before the game with Blackburn, you told me that you wanted commitment from your players, and that's the one word that fans used on Tuesday. They were so pleased with the effort and commitment of your players. So you've got what you asked for. Yeah,
but sometimes it's commitment can be. I'm not suggesting that we haven't had committed players. What I'm suggesting is that sometimes we've been a little bit disjointed with it. So I think taking responsibility is something which is critical and very crucial for any team to be successful, is that there is a shared understanding of what responsibility is. So, players are selected for what they can bring to the side, so they have a responsibility to themselves, but everybody has a responsibility to the team also. So, those things are. We've had frustrated players here because they know that we should be in a better position points-wise. But look, the only way of looking back really is to try and learn lessons from what's happened. And I think, providing there is a desire to improve and a desire to at least face up to some of the mistakes that are made, I think that's always a positive step forward. And we do have a smallish squad, which I think actually, all right, yeah, I know we could talk about availability of some players and it means we're a little bit short, but actually that for the players who are involved at the moment should give them a real boost, that in the knowledge that they're going to be involved in a match day in some way. So I think there's always, it depends how you look at the stuff. I'm not particularly a negative person. I don't look for problems. I look for how we can find solutions or find answers or try and rectify areas that need addressing. And I think that's an important way for us to, if you like, embrace the challenges that we've got, because we the Championship is a really tough, it's a tough old league to get out of in the right direction. And that's still our aim, regardless of what the current position is. Our medium and long term aim is still to be a success and try and achieve promotion to the Premier League. But I mean that's a long way off at the moment.
Whenever I ask you about the opposition, you always tell me it's about what you do. But Sheffield United have changed their manager.
Yeah, they have.
What influence will that have on Sunday's game?
Well, I would imagine Sheffield United will be thinking it will have a positive effect. I've actually messaged Paul this morning. He's somebody who I've got a lot of respect for. It's an interesting change. Didn't really necessarily see that coming, but Sheffield United will obviously hope there'll be a positive reaction from their side. So we'll see whether they're a team that will possibly play a similar formation to how we've shaped up, but they tend to play with or have played with a three up top who are a bit more split rather than a two and a one behind as we have. So whether it's a 3-4-3 in the same way that we are when we're in possession, we'll see.
And we began by talking about Joe's absence this weekend. Is Matty any closer to a return?
Yeah, Matty's getting closer, and Kingy is too. Kingy's been out on the grass today, did the warm up with the other players. So hopefully, hopefully December will be a time that we start to get players back, and that'll be good. But I'm not wasting too much energy at the moment in thinking about players who aren't available for the weekend. At the moment, it's really concentrating very much on who is available for the weekend and making sure that preparation tomorrow is as efficient as it can be, and that the players are in a positive mindset. That's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned.
Have a safe trip to Bramall. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Hi Nigel.
Hey James.
I'm sure you're not going to tell me, but the midfield.
Why ask then? Why ask?
The midfield that finished the game on Wednesday was an incredibly young one, which is obviously fantastic for the club, and it must be a real source of pride. But there's every chance, I guess, given what you've said so far, that could be the midfield, bar maybe Cam for Callum. I mean, again, I don't expect you to say, but how do you, because the concerns have been about experience and control, so how can you install that on those players?
Well, I mean, look, I think what you have to also recognise with those players, for instance, there's actually quite a bit of knowledge already that they have. So how we, I think it's really clarity of message is the simple answer to your question, and so that when we go out to the field, that the players have an appreciation of what's expected in certain situations, and without going into the tactics too much, but there are, if you play in a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, however you want to talk about it, if you, for instance, you play against sides who have two players in wide positions, then you've got to be able to deal with that, and so there are different ways of doing that. So yeah, I mean, I think what's important now is that we recognise the positive aspects of performances that we've had. So not just the other night, and just try and fine tune. And as I've said on a number of occasions about having young players, is my expectations of ability to be consistent is something which is, I think that's one of the hardest things to do. But I also don't want to talk our players down either, because we've got some, for young players, they've got quality, both in terms of technical, but actually they have they're not all the same, but we do have some maturity in terms of game understanding, which is really that's a really precious gift that players have. So, and really that's the one thing, or one of the important ingredients that can distinguish talented players who are gifted in technical sense from each other. So, I'll let you compare whoever you want, but if you look at, I think people will recognise technical talent when they see it, but the thing that really makes players stand out is their ability to perform, especially in a game where sometimes their own skill sets aren't easy to show. And going to a place like Sheffield United, I will expect a very tough game, as we had the other night, where opportunities for technical excellence were limited because we didn't have a lot of the ball, and it was a very hard fought game. But I know that you probably noticed yourself there were some real standout moments, and those things are I think the real telltale signs of ability. So I'm very wary to get on the bandwagon of building our young talent up too much. I know that we have talented players here, and a big part of my job is managing expectations of those players, not only within the club but externally too. And that's where the role of the senior player becomes even more important. So I told you about what Matty James said after the game, but it's not just about Matty, it's about all the senior players, and they will be as important as the coaching staff in the development of our young players. And that's the reality of it.
On the clarity of message you spoke about,
yeah.
When you're giving instructions to players, I mean, it may be a silly question, but are there when you're dealing with someone like Noah or Ivan, the younger guys, or someone like Matty, do you give Matty different instructions than you would them because of where they are in their career, or is it kind of the same for everybody?
No, it's not the same for everybody, and you have to remember that people learn in different ways. I mean, personally, I'm a visual learner, but that's not to say that all my players are visual learners. Whether it depends on it, it's nothing to. I don't think it's anything really to do with age necessarily. It has to do with your learning style. And I think one of the things that people have to try and understand is that we as coaching staff have to try and connect with players in the way that they learn. So the simple. You mentioned Noah, maybe because he's French but I don't think there's a language problem. We have French-speaking staff here. We have 3 French-speaking staff, and Noah himself is a real studier of the game. So he's somebody who probably goes to deeper. Probably, and I'm not going to say too much, but he really does spend a lot of time trying to educate himself. So it goes without saying that players are different, and this is the thing about team sports: is you've got individuals populating a sport which you're reliant on each other. So I'm waffling on, but the point is, you've got to try and have a simple message that's got clarity, and that's why, you know, in the modern world, we players have presentations that you know, they see visuals, images, and then you go out and practice on the field, and then further to that, you can check their understanding, and that's all the staff do that, and a lot of it is. You know, I talk about behaviours of players and behaviours on the pitch, and a lot of that it's drip feeding information. So you don't bombard players with too much information. Otherwise, that becomes a problem as well. So, you know, it's. I understand people's either desire to know or their interest in how training affects any given day, any given game. But I think the key to it, as much as anything, is to try and develop a culture within a football club or any sporting environment over a period of time. And that's not an easy thing, especially when results aren't going particularly well. So, you know, it's small steps, but we've got some good people here, really good people, players and staff.
On the learning thing, obviously Tyreek's extension has been announced today. It's kind of the affirmation, kind of how he's played as well. What's impressed you? You touched on it on Wednesday, but the kind of the development that he's made this season.
Well, without, you know, I'm not somebody who wants to be publicly critical of people, but I think that our observations here were that, you know, and he's a technically gifted player. He's got lots going for him on the technical side, but in terms of being able to change his own game to fit the requirements on any given day is not something that, again, you would necessarily expect players to get in one go. So I think he's made a real conscious effort to shape his own game to fit the needs of our team without it being a detriment to himself. So I think the extension of his contract is a reflection of the work that he's put in and the fact that we need to protect our assets too. You know, I mean, that's the other side of it. Let's just talk about the business aspect of it. When you invest substantial amount of time and, of course, finance in developing players, just on a purely business sense, you have to protect your assets, and that's a part of the modern game. And so, you know, we are a club which works hard to produce players for our own team. So it's not in our interest to spend so much time and effort and money doing that, and then getting people to come and take them off our hands. That's not what we're after. So this is why our the goal of trying of wanting to and needing to become a Premier League side is, you know, the not just the status side of getting there, but actually we've got a much better chance of keeping hold of our talent if that is the case in the longer term. Yeah.
Does that sort of theory then tie in with Callum O'Dowda's situation, who's in a similar place what Tyreek was a couple of days ago with his contract expiring? He's got a 12
Well, yeah, but Callum's 26. So, you know, Callum, I don't need to publicly say what Callum knows. He's in a position now where he's had a frustrating time out with injury, and he's a real. I like Callum a lot, and I think he can achieve. Hopefully, he can stay fit this season, and he can get a run in the side where he's shows what he's capable of, and I think where he's currently playing suits his game. He worked exceptionally hard for the team the other day, in terms of in both directions. And I think that's really important. We need we need a team full of players like that, and that's the point, that we're not in a position to have luxury players, and that is, that's where we are at the moment. I'm not suggesting that that should be the case anyway. I'm not a big fan of having luxury players. I'm a fan of having a team which functions as a team, and that framework allows people to be themselves and be whatever they are, whether that's destructive or creative.
Do you feel you have any luxury players at the moment?
We've got none who are playing.
Okay. Because further to your last week when you said about the players who aren't on side, without sort of venturing into amateur detective territory, there's obviously two players.
Well, you're trying, aren't you? You are trying to do that.
Well, I am.
But you're not. Yes. But you're not going to get any further, because it's. I said what I said last week because I think it needed to be said. But everybody gets a second chance, So people have opportunity. But the adage of taking a horse to water, it's as simple as that for me. People have opportunity. It's up to them.
Just final one, just on the injuries. Nathan Baker obviously came off towards the end.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's apparently he broke somebody's nose who ran into the back of his head, and he was smiling about that this morning. So, he is a very. I'm really pleased with. I'm really pleased for him actually this season. I think he's playing well. And I like the way he goes about his business. So he's very popular here as well. So no, he's okay. I think he collided with Dan, didn't he? And he's okay too. Trying to think anybody else who looked. Yeah, Callum went off because he's run himself into the ground. So we're okay. We're okay.
Great stuff. Thanks for your time as ever, Nigel.
Pleasure. I like your questions.